Hey, everybody. This is Scott with Witness Underground, the documentary, and Witness Underground podcast. We are in a live Kickstarter right now. So we're doing a special series of interviews. This is our last few days of the campaign, witnessunderground.com. Today we have with us Scott Ariza. Am I saying your name right? Your last name?
You are actually. That's
Ariza.
awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So Scott and I know each other, two Scotts, the Scott's interview. We know each other through an organization called Filmocracy. So we're going to talk about how we got connected, and Scott's been a really big part of our core team, getting the word out, and he has some experience with Kickstarter, so we're going to get into that. How you doing today, Scott?
Doing great. How about yourself?
It's a good day. It's a very crazy week. So we have just the 3 days left with the campaign. So it's like all about getting the comments, and we have like 12 interviews went live. So it's all about like talking to people in the comments, responding to people, and then doing like last week outreach that you and I have both been doing. Like, hey, it's the last day. Can you share the links on your social? But yeah, it's good. I'm actually in Panama. Yeah, we're so close. Okay, that's the exciting thing. I can share some news. So the campaign is at 78% right now. $15,680, I think, or something close to that. So, and that's crazy. It was at 60 something percent a couple days ago. So feeling really good about the last push here. And then I think all the shows that we got on, I got on, and a bunch of other people on our team got on, have been really starting to like have momentum, and also like people react to like it's a shorter amount of time, and we're getting close to the end. But yeah, how is it going for you?
It's been going great. It's been really cool to see, like you said, like a lot of people. The story is clearly resonating and connecting with people. So there's a lot of interest in showing and hosting and spreading the word, which is it's really cool to see.
What are some of the cooler moments or like people that we've been in touch with from your perspective from this campaign?
It's been a mix. Like honest, if I'm being honest, it's been hard to kind of almost like keep up with all of the different people, because I feel like I wake up or leaving work, I check messages, and there's like a new show or a new something that's that's popped up with the name on it. So. Cool. Like on a personal front, it's been also really cool just connecting with people within the people that I've been messaging, like just people from high school, people from college, and just catching up. So
yeah, that's a really interesting part of like, it sounds daunting to like go ask people for money, and that's what people usually think of when they think of a GoFundMe or Buy My Coffee or whatever they're called. And that Kickstarter, Indiegogo, all the Seed and Spark, all the different ones. It's like, oh, I don't want to ask my friends and family for money. But really, you're like, check out this cool piece of art that's, I think, is important.
Totally, yeah.
It's a very different message than I need your money, please give it to me. It's like we spent years making this thing that we think is going to change the world, or like it's just really cool, which is way better news than like, hey, did you hear about the bombing and all those people that died? Which is the normal news, right? Or like the doofus in politics is said something really stupid again. So like when you're doing that's been a cool part of it, is like we're not asking for money, we're asking to like check out a cool thing we made, and if people like it, then they're supporting it because it's like, oh yeah, that is really cool, I think you guys are awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Do more.
It's also cool to be able to share, because like I've shared like Kickstarters and Indiegogos and stuff for other projects by people I don't know. So like, why wouldn't I be excited to share something from someone that I do know, or from something that I've been involved in? So it's like being able to present it from that perspective, like you said, of like, hey, I made this like really cool thing. I'm helping to make this really cool thing or get this cool thing out there. Is it's actually a really like nice conversation.
Yeah. And then, like you said, like all of a sudden you're just messaging everyone you've ever met in decades. And then in all of a sudden these amazing conversations, you're like, oh, cool. That's awesome. What have you been up to? Oh yeah, it's been years since we talked. Yeah. Oh, well, let me catch you up. And I've gotten so many emails. I'm like, oh my God, I need to respond to this friend of mine who now lives in Ecuador, or this person who had their second kid and I didn't know that. And I'm like, I want to say hi to all these people. And it's like, I'm running out of time to do so. But it's an awesome problem to have. Like, I can't respond to my friends fast enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh no, I have too many friends, and I have to talk to too many of them.
yeah. It's the coolest problem to have ever. So what are the other projects that you've worked on? and with Kickstarter type campaigns in the past?
Yeah, so in terms of like working on projects, this is actually like honestly one of, if not the first. I've worked on some kind of like local productions and things like that, but it's an area that I've always been. I'm in Alberta, Canada, so way up in the north. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's an area. It's an area that I've always been really interested in and always wanted to do work in. And yeah, not to say that like Alberta doesn't have a film community, because we've actually had things on and off. And like The Last of Us most recently was filmed here, and that was like a major production.
The Last of Us. Oh, it's
yeah,
so good.
There you go. So yeah,
Very
so
cool.
a lot of it was there. We're I have to take a look at the shoot map, because I want to look at maybe leading a tour through some of the like shooting locations and things like that.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Yeah, right. I think that'd be really fun. But yeah, it's not as dense as like even say like Vancouver or Toronto are usually the major filming locations for Canada. So yeah, it's just something that I've wanted to look into, and then being involved with the Filmocracy group and just kind of being active in their server, which is how we connected. And when you put out the word looking for people to help out, I thought, hey, this is a really good chance to finally get involved with something.
Yeah, I mean, you've been you're on the core team. Like, we put the word out to a lot of people, and actually a lot of people said yes to. Look, we had a half hour long conversation about like what it is, how it goes, and I'm learning. So I'm learning how to manage a core team of a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah, I think everyone's like, obviously the people who are like really interested are really merged and like just kept with it, and it's been awesome. And most of them have been authors. Just a shout out, Denise Wise out of England, and Anthony Mathenia, and Ryan Sutter, who's in the movie, and then Micah Allen Loesch, who's the author of the Apostasy trilogy. I think that's the main group. And then there's a bunch of people who like said yes, and they're like, wait a minute, that's just a lot, and I have a lot of stuff going on in my life, which is totally understandable. And so they backed off, but they've been like really supportive. And there was like another level. It's like core team or street team. And those people backed off, but they've done way more than any street team member. Like most of them like run their own podcasts or a YouTube channel. And so they've like really hyped up the thing way more than we were going to ask the street team. Anyway, so it's been, we have a team of like 25 people, but you're like in it, and you've been really consistent. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's been really cool just seeing a project from like this side of it finally. And yeah, it's something I definitely hope to do more of.
Yeah. So with Filmocracy, just to give the audience a brief thing, we went to 11 film festivals, and I think 6 of them are mentionable because like we want a reputation tied to them forever. And the last one was Filmocracy. And the cool thing about Filmocracy was I was living in Los Angeles the last like 4 years. I just recently left Los Angeles. I'm in Panama now. So if you hear rainstorms and thunder and lightning, it's because I'm in the rainy area. But Filmocracy was like on that ride, the coolest little win for us, or big. It was a win. It was a big win for us. It was Los Angeles. I was right there, wrapping up the whole thing. And John Fitzgerald from Slam Dance runs the festival, but the team of Filmocracy, the website, and the film festival platform that they run, Paul Jun and Philip Jun.
Yeah.
Your buddies. How do you know them again? Did you talk?
We actually Phil and I go way back as gaming buddies. We just it was actually a friend of a friend kind of situation where a friend of mine was playing with them, and I got brought into kind of their gaming group, and then slowly made my own connections. And yeah, so I've known Phil for a while now. I've met his brother Paul way more recently, and they put out a word when they were in their own Kickstarter actually for Filmocracy, and I backed that, and stayed in contact and participate fairly regularly in their Discord, and yeah, that's how we met. So that's the whole
that's really cool
history there.
Yeah, and what I was going to say a minute ago was like all the people that decided to join the Kickstarter, some of them that couldn't eventually, like, or that didn't understand what it was, and we all are learning. You like one of the guidances from the guy who we're like doing the training from, Justin Giddings, and the Kickstarter guy, he said like people that come from like a completely different community are often the best people. Like cast a wide net and see who like pops out. And I posted in the Discord for Filmocracy, and that's where we connected. and it's you've been by far like one of the most active and like steady. So I really appreciate it. But
yeah, thank you.
That connection's super interesting for us because like I met Justin Giddings through the Film Festival Mastery course that him and John Fitzgerald from Filmocracy Fest run, and that's how I got in touch. That's how I learned about Filmocracy Fest. And John, let's see, connecting to them and getting in the film festival, and then having like I went to the after party. I was like the only filmmaker who went to the after party with like the Filmocracy crew.
Nice.
So I was like singing karaoke with Paul Jun and Philip and Paul's wife. I can't remember her name at the moment. Paul, wonderful Polish woman, and John, and we're just like drinking a little too much and partying in like the Chinese area of northern downtown Los Angeles until like 2-3 in the morning. It was so much fun. And what was cool is awesome. Like everyone in the greater like film community that I had met through Film Festival Mastery, who I became friends with and like kept in touch with, they all said nothing but positive things about Paul Jun. And then Filmocracy was like rising up. And I've since like, I mean, we communicate on a regular basis. I've like hired them to do we're releasing the movie now, but we did like a meet the director, meet the cast and crew weekly screening, private screens. We invited like hundreds of people every week to like watch it with us. It didn't actually work. The platform worked, but like people didn't care to watch a movie, and which is why we're doing the Kickstarter, because like we tried so hard to like give the movie away for free. And people are like, stream a movie when you want at a certain time. Like that doesn't make any sense. I want to stream it when I want to stream it. So just trying to follow human nature. We're like, let's just get it out onto streaming services. But anyway, so those are really great connections, and they are actually Filmocracy through Paul and Philip helped us get our first distribution deal. So like right now we signed a contract during the Kickstarter. So like through Filmocracy, they got a connection for us. So anyway, the only good things to say about that is that crew. They're great, and they really helped us doing great work for sure. The indie path. So I've been talking a lot. Sorry. What is it that draws you to film, and like what draws you to film?
What draws me to film? Wow. It's kind of, I guess, always just really been a part of my life in some way or another. Like I like many kids probably grew up, watching Disney or whatever my parents would grab from when Blockbuster was still a thing, which is dating myself. But yeah, I have a lot of. I remember Blockbuster. I think I still probably have my membership card kicking around somewhere if I really bothered to dig into my closet. But yeah, I have a lot of like I think a weirdly core memory now is kind of just walking through the shelves at Blockbuster and just looking at all the and they were VHS cases at that time, which is further dating me. But yeah, it was one of those things that started as a very casual thing. I think like it starts for most people where you just kind of rent whatever and watch whatever and don't think too much about it. But as I got older, it was just something that I really like to kind of sit and think about more and not just from kind of like a critical or an analysis side, but also from a like how did they get this shot, or like what did they use to make the movie like look this way. And so it's something that I've always really liked to kind of look into, is all of the like behind the scenes stuff and all of the production things. And so come to now, and it's something that I'm trying to kind of more actively work my way kind of like behind the camera in some way, shape, or form. And just it's always been something that's really really interesting and really evocative and I guess mysterious in a way too. So
how do you do it?
How do you do it, and what does it look like behind the camera? And
Cool. This is reminding me of something I just discovered, and it's a bummer that I discovered it now after the fact, but it's called Shelby Oaks is a movie, and the guy who made it, you might have heard of him, Chris Stuckman. Have you heard of that name?
It rings a bell. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it though.
He's got a few million.
Write this down.
A few million subs on YouTube. He does film reviews, and he breaks down storytelling. He's been doing it for like 10 years or something. He's got a very successful channel, and so he used to make like B films and like fake versions of Indiana Jones, and he did a Kickstarter last year, and now he's in deep in production for Shelby Oaks, which is his first horror script. And the Kickstarter was good. They tried to raise like, I don't know, it was something like $50,000, and they raised like 1.5 million or something. because like what they
Oh
offered
wow.
was so compelling, and I would love to have copied their Kickstarter. And like it was inspiring to see it because it's like such a good one. But basically,
Totally, yeah.
they're making a horror film, and also, you know, at a certain level, they're while they're doing it, they also got a documentary director to shoot the how do you make this scene
That's so
for
cool.
every scene of the film. So like he's like, no one, it's always a secret. My whole life it's been a secret. So like come behind the scenes with my first debut thing. And that went wild. Like, and I'm so excited to actually see that because I want to make something similar, which is like, how did I make this documentary? I can at least tell that as a way to like give back to people, because it was very much like a student project to make Witness Underground. But I had a lot of skills already, but I would love to give back. And so if you want to get involved, I'm just going to say this in public because we can. I want to make a course on how to make films, and it could be really fun for someone who hasn't done it to help me make that.
Yeah, totally.
For this movie right now.
All right. So, well, we've got you on camera with the offer, so I'll happily take you up on that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing like a paid course, like a low cost, like how do you do it course, but then like for the community that I'm a part of, for the ex-witnesses or ex-cult members or whatever, like free access or super low price or something like that. It's just like an idea I'm tossing around, but I want to make that because I already have the skills, you know.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Totally.
Is there any particular thing in filmmaking that you would like, now that you're like opening the door to like getting involved, that you want to do, or like it draws you?
Yeah, I've gotten more into so I've been working as a photographer for the last 5-6 years now, and so that part of it, like the actual like photography or cinematography has always been kind of my way of getting in. Like I wish I had a better ear for music, and I played in junior high and high school and all that. But yeah, the theory part of it has always taken a lot of like work for me to process and to understand. But I think the visual is just, it's so like kind of immediately apparent because you just see it. But it's been cool kind of learning it that way, and I'm like a very tech and like gear focused person kind of anyways. Like I've always been really into computers, and like IT was my trade before that. So it's the photography of it and the cinematography of it is kind of it's my first point of interaction with any film, I guess, when I try and kind of like look at it or break it down.
That's really interesting. Yeah, the key things that because I also went to school for visual arts and did photography for a long time. As like I tried to make that my career, and then I was like, I think everyone has a cell phone now, so I kind of like damn it, everybody can do the magic.
Yeah, everyone's a photographer now for sure.
Right. Yeah, but there's obviously like a big difference from a wide angle cell phone shot where everything's always sharp and motion blur doesn't exist, to like working with bokeh and
totally
nice quality lenses
and like the lighting alone is its entire own discipline lighting and art.
That's probably the best thing I learned when I was in photography school. Was there's a whole series on lighting that we did throughout the entire course that totally changed how I do everything. You might not see it in this video because I'm just like in an Airbnb place right now, but with whatever lights are available. But I do own lights, they're just not here.
Nice.
But yeah, one thing I learned is that, and part of the reason I'm like okay with doing a live and just an interview, is I used to be super like into the visuals and like making sure it was perfect visually. And I've learned that like you really need story first, quality audio, and then visuals, which kind of was a hit to me because I'm also similar in that I usually have visuals as the first point of interaction. My whole life I've been doing photography.
Right.
So I have to like bow to the superiority of story and then audio quality. And then
for sure, yeah.
We have a blurry photo from and Ken burns it and people are like, ooh, that's awesome. So, but yeah, that's cool. That's great. And also having the tech background is really important because it shows that you're a detail-oriented person, probably, if you worked in that space. So having those two things is in filmmaking is really important.
Absolutely.
And sticking to something with a detail-oriented mind is like half of the battle. Because most people that want to make a movie don't ever do it because it's really hard. It takes a long time.
For sure.
So
yeah, everyone's got the idea of the movie that they want to make for sure.
Yeah. And do you have one? Do you have a script or like an idea or a genre you want to work on first?
I've actually really liked I know this, and this is another thing, like photographers, I think like movie critics and that have kind of sprung up like weeds as well with social media and everything, but that's kind of actually more the area that I've really wanted to get into. So I guess in a way it would be like shooting myself, but I want to like talk about movies and show people kind of the stuff that I really like and that I've really found.
Hmm. You think you want to do like a channel, like a YouTube channel on the topic or something?
Yeah, that's what I've been kicking around for a while. I was kind of I was kind of in the like very early stages of like mapping out what that would look like, and my timing was impeccable because it was like right when the writer's strike started, and then SAG followed, and luckily they're over now, so I can kind of resume it. But yeah, I didn't want to like do any coverage, obviously, of Struck Productions, so it kind of had to put that on the back burner for a little while. But I'm really excited to get back to it.
Cool. That's great. Yeah. And that's a great way to learn a lot of the details of storytelling and filmmaking, because you have to. If you're cutting your own channel together.
Yeah, for sure. And to make it, to assemble it all in like a compelling and concise way and an accessible way. So yeah. I think, a lot of parallels for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah, you should. I'm excited to see you do that. I'll probably learn something.
Yeah.
When you're making a movie or trying to get it out in the world, it takes up for me, it took up the last 5 years of my life. So watching movies has been like the least important thing in my life. I do still watch
fair enough,
like once a month or something. But a lot of people are like 7 hours a week of content, and I'm like, I make 7 hours a week of content. I can't watch other people's stuff.
Yeah, there's only so many hours in a day when you're on the production side.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fun. I love it. It's like following that dream has been like the most exciting and interesting thing. And it's like
totally.
I've so many other things I absolutely love in my life. Like I love a lot of individual like adventure sports like mountain biking and snowboarding, and I love making music. But it's like, well, this is the thing I know for sure I want to like go for all the way. So everything else falls away, and for better or for worse, I'm in the filmmaking space because of it. But it's cool when you find something you love and you just go for it. It's like the best. It's like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm excited to sit at my computer. Most people wake up in the morning and sit at the computer to do something for somebody else. I'm like, I know it's exactly the same situation, but I love it because it's mine, kind of thing.
Totally, yeah, and it's cool with a documentary project, especially like, it's a subject that's very like. I think in general documentaries, it's always a subject that's very close to the director, and so that kind of that passion and that enthusiasm and everything like really comes through. And that was what kind of initially grabbed me about when you were posting about it in the Filmocracy Discord as well. Like it was it can be like there are so many documentaries coming out now as well, but it was cool to see one like come up in a server that I was in, and then I got to find out kind of more about like your story and the story of the documentary. And yeah, it was just a really cool kind of like organic way, I guess, of coming to a new project.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. And thanks again for joining.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
What do you think we should make next? You're on the team now.
Oh man. Well, I mean, if I'm being really selfish, like my favorite thing has always been horror, but if that's probably harder to make if you want to stick to like a documentary.
Yeah. I think I'd be down to get into the narrative space. What's interesting about that is it's like with a documentary, it's like, let's go capture interviews and then we'll see what we can piece together in the edit. And then it's like you have 10 to 20
you
more.
have to find that kind of.
Yeah. The directing's in the editing room, and it takes way longer. Whereas a narrative movie is like, well, here's text and writing. Let's write it and make the story beautiful and perfect and hit all the emotional parts. And then just like, okay, well, let's design the scene and who's going to be who's talking. What's the dialogue? What are we showing? And you plan it all in advance, and it could be years of planning in advance. Or if you're really dedicated and you have a great team, probably a shorter time. But then the shooting's always either way. The shooting's like 6 to 15 days or something. Because with narrative though, it's like super planned, and that might be a nice refreshing
everything's
break.
blocked out and
yeah
totally.
Then the edit's like super short because you know exactly what you shot, you know exactly why you shot it, and you have 5 takes of it, and you already marked which one is the best one. So the editor's like, great, scene 3, or yeah, take 14 or whatever. All right, everything else is not even going to be considered. But yeah, I would love that, and I think it's interesting you bring that up, the horror side. We won Witness Underground. Went to 11 festivals. It won an award at a horror film fest at Genre Blast. And I'm very proud of that.
That's funny.
I made a documentary that won an award at a horror fest. It's hilarious to me. Especially, it's such a dark topic. And that team is amazing. Actually, a lot of those people are connected to the Filmocracy crew in some way in LA. And they're super cool, like the people I met out there. Very helpful. Nice. They're very in the horror space. Like one of the guys, the director, he posted on this collaborative filmmaker group. He's like, I need, this might be a weird question. I need something that you could find in a woman's bedroom that like, I'm asking for a friend, guys. It needs to be able to like go through her throat and come out the other side. Like, what could you find in a woman's bedroom that could go all the way through her neck? And then all it was like 170 comments, and like the director's like, I thought about a dildo. I just don't think it's actually possible for a dildo to go all the way through, even enter. It's like, like, yeah, considering
these like intense logistics.
Yeah. Like I met their team at their last horror premiere in LA. It's like all the people that worked on it, the DP, and then that woman's husband are like super involved, and I do a lot with that director. And then I met like the whole cast, and I met the guy who made like they wanted to take someone's head and like rip it by their jaw and separate the head from the body, and like have the spine like go out and have all the parts of their organs flying everywhere. Yeah. And I met the guy who like he made the cast of one of the actors so that they could like pull apart this fake body and do that. And that was the most they're having the time of their lives, and it's so gory, and like every single actor in the whole thing dies. It's like and it's like a one room. They all are in a bar trapped inside. I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's so funny and like disgusting, but like so much fun to work on.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think that like I love watching horror movies, but I think the idea of it, or just like the production of it, must be so fun because it's in some ways kind of the most open playground for like every part of filmmaking, because you have to make all of these like insane props or like wild VFX or like
there's a lot of improvising too. Like, well, I think we didn't get quite enough blood to fly onto that wall. Let's do it again, but like, can somebody get a hose?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'll sit underneath the billiards table and I'll spray the hose. Just say when, like.
Yeah, there's a really cool movie. Now that or once you have a little bit more time, or if you want to make it your one movie that you check out, it's called One Cut of the Dead. Is probably one of my favorite. Actually, I might go so far as to say it might just be one of my favorite movies, but it's a Japanese movie. It's a micro budget, like super indie thing. But it's about this crew that's trying to film a horror movie, and it's a zombie horror movie, and they've rented out this like abandoned facility warehouse to do it in, and then real zombies start to show up, kind of thing. And so there's 2 very long single takes that bookend the show. And so the first one is your regular zombie movie, and then there's a twist at the end where the last cut totally reframes and recontextualizes the movie, and it's very funny and it's very charming, and like it's a horror movie, but it's also kind of like this really it has like a surprisingly feel-good ending, and like it's just it's very charming. And I think like if you work in film, you'd probably really appreciate it as well. There's kind of like an extra level there for you.
What brings that extra level in storytelling or in the one takes or?
It's tough to talk about without kind of ruining the twist.
Okay.
So I'll just have to say, like, if you do check it out, just send me a message and let me know what you thought. And also anyone who watches this, like, check out One Cut of the Dead. It's a really cool movie. It caused like a small revolution in Japanese filmmaking, where now there's a community of I can't remember what the word is, but there's a specific genre for these like micro budget movies that are designed to look like they're filmed in one take, or maybe are actually filmed in one take. And there's been a few of them since then, and it's really neat.
Yeah, that's the whole concept of the micro budget or the extreme micro budget films is this group I was talking about in LA. Jason Horton, Jay Horton. You got to check out his stuff. He's great. He has a very helpful YouTube channel. In fact, nice. I think he used to have a podcast, and then he dropped it to go full YouTube. And then he's on it's like, there's like a film production Facebook group. I'll share it with you and I'll put it in the link in the description, but it's a great filmmakers hub. And they're always talking about fun things and like very, very helpful community. And it's thousands and thousands of people across the world.
That's so cool.
But and he does like one feature film a month. Like, it's amazing what this guy can do. It's a mix of documentary and horror and other types of films, mostly documentaries and horror. And then he has like his connections, and he's just like a machine. Like, he just pumps out content.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you'd have to be if you do one a month. That's so impressive.
And his budgets usually are between $5,000 and $10,000 for everything he does.
Wow.
And that's what makes it financially viable. But like, he's so fast and he's so skilled that he's able to turn that into a career. And then he talks about how to turn your own content into a career with step-by-step stuff. So like, he's got this like how to do it on a budget, how to make it successful.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and he talks about the finances.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there's a really cool kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying, like, it's been really cool. I think just in the last probably just in the last few years that like YouTubers have been becoming I don't like to say like real filmmakers, but they're moving into the Hollywood space and like actually getting there was a few years back there was Arctic, which was produced by, I'm gonna space on his name now that I actually need the information, but he had a music channel. Actually, he played guitar, or has a music channel. He plays guitar, but he made and produced Arctic, which is this group of people that get stranded from their plane crashes, and they're stranded and they have to kind of try and find their way to some sort of salvation. But I think they managed to get, Mads Mikkelsen. Oh, and wow. Just YouTubers are starting to show up like in the Hollywood or like the traditional film space, and it's like really cool to see that kind of crossover.
This person, Mads Mikkelsen, is this a U.S. actor or German actor? Because I was just thinking about Dark, and I was going to bring up Dark, but there's a character named Mads that like triggered me. Yeah,
he's Dane. I'm gonna get skewered for this. Yeah, Danish. He's Danish.
Danish. Okay.
He was he played Hannibal in the NBC Hannibal TV series.
Okay. Yeah.
He was recently in a really cool, very dark comedy called Drook, which was him, and I think it's very loosely based on a true story, but he and his group of teacher friends decide to see if they can stay drunk 24/7 basically, and because they think it helps them kind of like loosen up and be more effective professionally and at home and stuff like that, and it goes well. Yeah.
No, isn't one of them a teacher or something?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's a teacher.
That film is that film's great, and the ending is such a beautiful payoff at the dock on the ocean.
Yeah, like, it's such a crazy real life story too, because the director, this was let's see, what's this? It was Another Round in English. Thomas Vinterberg. I was like connecting it back to how you said like narrative films, kind of everything's all set up. This one has like a really interesting, very sad actually, behind the scenes story where he was originally planning to film it with his daughter, and it was actually written as more of a straightforward comedy, like a haha comedy, and she actually was killed in a traffic collision with a drunk driver, and he had to like significantly rework the film because she was gonna she was gonna have a major role in it. I don't know if she was starring in it or not, but he significantly reworked this film as a result to be much more it's a very different take. Just a, like a really like sad but fascinating. Like he ended up winning an award for it, and his Academy Award speech was heartbreaking. But
Wow.
yeah, just
Yeah, rough. That's
really
actually an
really
interesting.
interesting production anecdote.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to make about creating content, especially with things like I'm doing with interviews, but even acting with narrative, where you're putting someone's face and body and voice into on screen. Like I've been to a couple of film festivals. One particular I actually love, and I've met the people that run it and all the people behind the scenes in it now. It's called Dances with Films, and it's in Los Angeles. And it's a really big indie fest, and they pack the
Right.
house at the Chinese Theater in LA. It's like
Nice.
500 seats full or half full, but like really filled with human beings. Where a lot of film festivals I've been to are pretty empty. There'll be like 10 people, 20 people seating in a whole theater. Like that place is like, well, one of their things is like, do you have an audience? Is part of their selection criteria.
Yeah.
They want to sell tickets, and that's part of how you run a film festival successfully.
Of course, yeah.
But they also pick great films, and they have the luxury of doing that in Los Angeles, especially. And then all the actors, half of them live there, and people that are involved, and then their families. So it's easy to bring people. But they're a great crew, and it's a great festival. But I went to one where I was like, oh my God, this is the most sold out. It's like 100% full. Like there's no people are waiting. They wish they could get in, but they couldn't. And it was because like one of the actresses had died. And so like the actual screening of the premiere of the movie at this really important film festival was like a memorial to her death. And it's like, oh my God,
that's crazy.
do
you remember what movie it was by any chance?
This is 2022 where I went, I believe, to support some other filmmaker friends, and it was in the block. So I was just going to whatever was that day.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
I'm wondering if it was like Triangle of Sadness or something, because I know that the one of the leads passed away.
Okay, I mean it was
premiering, but
it's an amazing way to like honor that person, and like those people really did. So it's like going to a wake or a funeral for that person.
Yeah.
The whole Q&A after is like in support of them and their family, and it's like, wow, this is like way more than I signed up for. I thought I was going to like a fun narrative film at its premiere, but it's also beautiful. It's like such a show of support in the human spirit.
Totally, and such an interesting like and so fascinating too, because like that like you said, it's kind of like a wake, but you're going to this thing that like you see the actor in, and you get to see kind of their last thing, and that's. Yeah,
and I had something similar with me, where like one of the most important interviews I've done, the person died, and it's like I haven't released the interview yet. So now the interview I did is like,
oh wow, yeah,
the last thing that their family has to remember, and it's like the person telling their life story, which is also this really incredibly important thing. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't realize when I did that that casual interview in the afternoon was going to be such an important thing for like the rest of this person's family, for now immortalizing this person. So releasing that's now like, well, I'm not going to just release it casually. It's like, I'm not just going to do a live, it wasn't just a live interview or casually. It's like, now it's this important thing that like they actually played some of it at the wake of the funeral a year ago.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I will work on that, but I'm going to spend my time on it. But yeah, like that part of filmmaking is not anything I ever thought of before, but you're actually doing this really intimate thing with somebody, and it becomes important.
Totally, and to have something like kind of like emergent like that, and like not not really knowing its significance at the time, and then all of a sudden it has this new kind of weight to it. Like so fascinating.
Yeah. But yeah, part of that is also like, I think horror is a great space because it's cheap to do. The entire audience is like having fun. They're ready for it to be low budget, and they just want some shock moments and like funny moments, and like be scared and like trigger, like it's like jump scary, that kind of stuff. It's interesting that there's such a big following for that, and you have like an entire channel like Shudder now supporting, like you can support these artists.
Yes, yeah.
And there's entire film festivals like through the same crew in LA. I'm gonna just name drop Michael J. Epstein and his wife Sofia Casciola, I believe. They're an amazing musician and filmmaker duo. They introduced me to, we met at Genre Blast because they had a couple of films that they've done there. They've got a new film there every year now. Smash, something with Smash. I'm going to screw it up. Anyway, that was playing recently. And then there's one in Texas. It's like South Texas something. There's also a genre festival in San Diego. And there's one in Boston. And there's like underground festivals. If you type it in, underground festivals, genre festivals, horror festivals. There's like an entire other
Yeah,
like
there's
category of festivals, which don't usually play documentaries. So like I think we're might be one of the only documentaries to ever win a a horror film fest. And
wow.
maybe there was partially it was because they didn't have that much competition. But
Sure.
it's kind of a cool thing to like, okay, well, we're exposing abuse in a cult, and that's like it's almost worse
That's
than like a horror film because
yeah,
like
like have
it's real.
like it's real. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like more scary. It's like in your
Mhm.
down the street in your neighborhood. Yeah. Do you want to do a psychological thriller type stuff, or more like gore, or
I like the more and it's funny that you bring it because I think that like also the appeal of horror is that it has I think a much wider range of like yeah like tolerance for quality. Like there's the stuff that's like very schlocky and corny and cheesy, and like there are people like people love that, and then but there's also like I would say horror there's been more kind of elevated or like more kind of intentional stuff that is looking to be kind of more of a like traditional or like award worthy film. Like Get Out is a really good example from a few years back now, and
yeah,
really
so
most
good.
of Jordan Peele's stuff.
Yeah, Jordan Peele's amazing.
So
That film was really
yeah,
groundbreaking.
yeah,
Or
totally. So I
Midsummer.
yeah, yes, Hereditary, Midsummer, Ari Aster, that's the director's name.
So good. I love that film so
Yeah,
much.
so it's really like that's also why I like it is kind of you can kind of go in a way that you don't see in other genres like or not as frequently I think and it's really yeah it's really cool to kind of see it the like horror being more like legitimized I guess or it's being more kind of like seriously considered and that's really cool. So that like that's eventually the place that I would definitely like to end up in is something more more intentional and still yeah like has some sort of something that I'd like to say to the audience, but it's yeah like I said definitely still a work in progress or very, very early stage.
Have you done an episode with your reviews?
Sorry.
Have you done an episode yet of the
No, not
concept
yet.
yet?
I've got my whole setup ready to go, but I have a good idea. I think of where I want to start, so that's
Okay.
good. I just happened to see a movie that I really liked. Actually, last night, pretty much, I went to see Priscilla.
Okay. Priscilla. Okay. Could you
Yeah.
do like a 5-minute single scene or like single thing you want to say about Priscilla in your first thing and like do it here live? You can say no.
Oh, do it here live. Okay, let's see. I have to put myself in it because yeah, I was looking at more shorter form for like since everyone's on TikTok right now, I figure that's probably the best place to build an audience. But the thing that really jumped out at me with Priscilla is kind of something that's been bothering me about biopics in general for a while, and I think that like look, Bohemian Rhapsody is the one that I'm gonna point the finger at, where I think that a lot of biopics that I've seen recently have been made about the legend of the person and not the actual person itself. Like I feel like we got a very sanitized look at Freddie Mercury, and I think we got a very kind of sanitized look at like Elton John, for example, with Rocket Man. Though that one, I think they were going for a more kind of hyper-real thing, so it worked a little bit better for me. But what I liked about Priscilla is that it didn't pull any punches as to the relationship between Priscilla and Elvis. I think it was it felt much more honest than a lot of biopics that I've seen, and I think that really resonated with me. Like they didn't shy away from the fact that like Priscilla was 14 when Elvis and her first met, and he started pursuing a relationship with her, and it did show that you know they arrived at a relationship that I think at least for a time there was a lot of love in it, but they also didn't shy away from like how visually weird that looked. Like they cast an actor for Priscilla that was 5 foot tall, and Jacob Elordi is like 6'7" or something like that, and so there's like a very radical physical difference between them, and they did a really good job of making her look very young. I think she's 25 in the movie, or the actor is, I should say.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, so I think because they kind of showed the kind of all of the relationship kind of more in its totality. It made it feel much more honest and impactful. And so I think it did a really good job. It's directed by Sofia Coppola, who is one of the greats for sure. And I think this is another great movie from her. And that's cool. I don't know if that was 5 minutes, but that was my thing on Priscilla.
Cool. That's great. It gave me an insight into what to look for when I watch it. Appreciate I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So. And that's kind of like the idea for like a TikTok, like just like go and do what you appreciate about a film. Is that like one of the concepts?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to focus on. And then like my ambition long term, I think, would be to do longer form stuff. That's ultimately where I want to end up. So I think like the TikTok channel would be a really good way to drive traffic to the YouTube channel. But in the YouTube, I definitely want to do a more comprehensive. Like I think I follow a lot of channels that do reviews that look at or tend to focus on like one specific part, like whether it's the acting or the cinematography or the writing or something like that. And what I'd like to do is kind of a longer form series where like one episode we'd be looking at one movie and then looking at one piece in kind of each episode. So and kind of do a more holistic look at a movie, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And just do a really deep dive, because one of the channels that I appreciate most like are specialist channels where it's someone looking at just the writing or just the music. I'm gonna shout out Sideways 440, even though he's not active right now, but he's a really incredible music channel that looks at kind of like mechanically down to the notes being used, like how that helps enhance the story metaphorically and musically.
Very cool.
And stuff like that. So I'd like to just go like really deep into kind of every single component part and look at kind of how that comes together to make the movie successful in some way or in all ways.
Yeah, that's great. It reminds me of David Lynch gave some advice a long time ago, but I came across it recently, which was anyone can make a movie. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have a degree. Get a bunch of like recipe cards or like note cards for doing a speech and write down 75 names of a scene and then rearrange them into chronological order. Like, I don't know, whatever you do on your table or on the floor or whatever. And then that's your movie. And then now you have 75 things you have to go write a short moment for a couple minutes of a movie or a minute. And then go shoot that. Like anyone can do that. And so like making a TikTok with like short form in mind with the goal of making something bigger, it's like, yeah, now you're working on like dissecting movie making one scene at a time or one element at a time is like really valuable for your education as well as like what you're giving to the audience. I think it's a great idea.
Totally.
And I hope you make that feature. It's a lot to take on a feature, but if you figure out all the little pieces, then one day you'll have the vision and be like, I know now how to do all of it. I just need to take all those skills and combine it into one.
Totally.
And you probably meet the right people. You'll meet people that will want to do that with you throughout the process of That's like the exciting thing about what we're doing right now is like I met you. I'm Anthony Mathenia, who's been a really big deal on the back end of the Kickstarter. I've gotten to know like the skill sets of other people. I've gotten to know that authors are awesome at writing, which is a big part of Kickstarter. Turns out. And like musicians don't really want to do a Kickstarter because it's a lot of writing. Authors love it. They think it's really cool. Like if you're trying to run a Kickstarter,
you need to find you need to find the lyricists among the musicians to do the writing.
Yeah, maybe the vocalists would be the better No, there's just musicians on our team, but yeah, there's a lot of authors, which is really cool. And people that run shows and show hosts, they're like, we could make more content. Let me make something for you. I'll set up my camera and my audio, and then I'll get this thing, and I'll do that, and I'll add this up. And it's like, oh, cool. So content creators are awesome people for Kickstarters too. It turns out.
Yeah, totally.
Shout out to Cult Hackers, Stephen Mather, and Wesley David with Wesley David Music for making some cool content for our campaign. Yeah. And then anyone who's ever been on a podcast, turns out they have a connection to a podcast and they are great people to have on the show. Because you've gotten on, I put the call out. I was like, let's try to get on as many podcasts as possible. And we sent like 150 cold emails out to all these shows. Some of them I knew, and some of them I'd already talked to, but a lot of them I hadn't. I've been wanting to. And then half the people that are on our team were like, "Oh, I've been on these 14 shows. Let me just talk to the people that already know me, and they like our project." And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, awesome!" So I got on like an extra 8 shows because the people that are on our team have already been on shows. So that's also like a fun piece of the strategy that I didn't quite expect.
Yeah, the content creator one is, it's really cool because it's a win-win, right? Because they always are looking for stuff to cover too, and like, yeah,
exactly. And that's been the thing for my podcast too, which you might want to think about for your show, if you ever do interviews, because that's like you're talking about doing solo casting on TikTok, but doing interviews or bringing people on, or you can do like remixes, right, or like lives.
Yes, stitches and
I love the concept, and I made it like the key to my Witness Underground podcast, which is like the extension of the Witness Underground documentary that the whole Kickstarter is about. The podcast is like I only bring on people who have an active piece of art to share, whether that's one song, so a single, or an album, or a book, and it can be old. That's fine, but like something that they're like, yeah, this is the thing I made. Go check it out. And I mean, TV shows have been doing this for a century, but it's also fun. Like, let me support your piece of art because they're also hustling that piece of art because they just made it.
Yeah, definitely.
Excited. I'm like happy to be like one more place to like put their piece of art out into the world and like be like a promotional angle and open door for a lot of artists. I mean, I don't know if I'm opening doors, but like I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. But ideally, that's the goal one day, is to like help people get to their goal. I love doing that, like making connections for people.
Totally.
Let's see, we have a few minutes left. Is there any channels that you want to shout out, or channels you want to get on, or things you want to just direct people to that you think are super cool?
Oh man, so many YouTube channels. I mean, check out like I'll attach the link, but I currently work or manage a photography studio, Sharko Studios. So I definitely like you to check out our work.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
the photographer that I work with.
Stills, or what do you focus on?
That is stills, yeah. So we're starting to get more into the video space, but primarily stills currently. Our photographer Evan Will is he's award-winning, nationally and internationally recognized. He's an incredible dude. I've been working with him on and off for probably over a decade now, but he's done all kinds of stuff, commercial, portraits, landscape, which is what we're focusing on now, and we're going to be leading a bunch of photography and adventure tours. So if people want to, take a really cool trip, take some really cool photos, learn how to take some really cool photos, where it's at.
Let's see. So where are you at? What city is the nearest to you?
So we're going to be doing like a Best of Alberta tour. It'll run out of Edmonton, which is the capital city there, and we'll take you through. There's actually some really great, kind of like California. There's a lot of biodiversity in the province, so we'll either start in the mountains in the Rockies and go out through. We've got some really cool badlands and kind of more desert looking areas, and then we're also very well known for our kind of sprawling plain wheat fields, canola fields, all that stuff. So it'll be a really cool tour there. We're going to be international. We're looking at Ecuador. We're looking at India. And Europe,
like expanding
Tokyo
your team
as well.
Expanding your tours?
Yes, expanding our tours. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna be all over the place for sure.
Wow. Like, how could somebody? How would they get in touch with getting on a tour if they wanted to do that?
It'll all be through through our website. So it's sharkostudios.com.
Link in the description.
And
for all the people that are live right now, it's not, but it will be.
But definitely come check us out.
Oh, there's actually a couple of comments. Let me just see. Oh, wow. I think our campaign just hit 18,000. Oh my God.
I
that's
see
amazing.
That. Yeah.
Whoa. I don't know what happened. And then Midsummer freaked him out more than Hereditary. Okay, yeah, cool. Wow, that's an amazing news to like be live right now.
That's actually so awesome.
We're trying to hit 18,000 on Friday morning. That's like the goal. But Here we are. Okay.
Yeah.
What happened? That means we went up $3,000 while we've been talking. And we've had 5 total viewers. I'm so excited to find out what happened. I think somebody bought one of our
must have been one of the producer packages or something.
Yeah. Gotta check that out.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. That means we're so close to being successful. Keep on supporting Witness Underground. What's crazy?
If it was you, if you're one of the 5, then thank you.
Yeah, we got a co-producer credit. Oh my God. I'm so excited. That's amazing.
That's so sick.
Very cool. Sorry to interrupt tours in Alberta, but
oh yeah, no. Hey, this is important. This is what we're here for. So
yeah, exactly. Actually, let's. Can you write in the comments, or can I do that? Only. Can you see that?
Oh no, I can see the comments as well. Yeah.
But you can't write it in.
Oh, join the chat.
If you type it in.
If I had looked, I have to connect my YouTube account. All right, let's do this really quickly here.
Let's see. Let's test and see if you can multitask.
Yeah.
So you said Tokyo, Ecuador, and what were the other places you're trying to expand to?
Looking at India, and then Scotland will be actually our Evan is moving to Scotland later this year, so we'll be kind of scouting that out and might be setting up a kind of a secondary base there.
So this would be like guided photography adventure tours. You're going to go to places that are worth photographing, like animals or landscapes, or
yes, right? Yeah, with an emphasis on landscapes. So there's kind of going to be 2 different types of tours that we'll be offering. One is if people are looking to maybe pick up a hobby or maybe they just want to take a cool trip and take some cool photos. This will be one that it won't be as much on like the backpacking and hiking side. We'll be targeting locations that are very easy to get in, get out, whether that's driving or like in the case of like Mount Assiniboine or Tombstone Park, which is up in the Yukon, one of our northern territories here.
That's very far away.
We can actually, it's very far away. Yeah, we were actually just there in the summer, and it was super cool. But you fly there, and you actually fly in. There's a bunch of chartered helicopters that'll take you out there, so that way you don't have to lug your 50 pounds of gear and backpacking stuff. But if you want to do that, we'll also be offering the more adventure type tours where it'll be kind of like a backpack in, and that's also something that Evan and I are quite enthusiastic about. We do a lot of backpacking trips. We've done some kayak stuff, and so land, sea, or air. we'll take you somewhere cool.
Give me the guy that was in Star Wars. He's a famous German documentary director. Blanking on his name at the moment, but he did the grizzly. I think it's about the guy who was in the Yukon or Alaska with the bears.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, you got to do a tour.
Oh, it's Werner Herzog.
Do the Herzog like grizzly survivor tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you go to where the guy was eaten by grizzlies. That's really exciting. I actually want to share something. A really good old friend of mine, I met him through a Minneapolis artist. I'm going to do a couple shout outs to Matt Jennings Music. Matt Jennings out of Minneapolis. Because of Matt, I connected to him when I was in Minneapolis. Well, I met all the people that are in the movie Witness Underground through the Nuclear Gopher music community. I met Matt, and then later I was living in Colorado, and I met through Matt in the green room or whatever, backstage essentially with Matt, a photographer friend from Minneapolis of his, Drew Carlson Photography out of Denver. He's now based in Denver, so we were both living in Colorado. And through Drew, I randomly put a thing on the internet one day. This is like a little bit of a personal story, but I was like, my Volkswagen van, my camper adventure machine is in St. Louis. The ex-girlfriend has been keeping it, and now she wants to leave the state and abandoned my thing. Does anybody want to rescue my Volkswagen? And Drew, who I'd only met the one time backstage at this Minneapolis concert in Boulder, Colorado, was like, I'll go get it. And then Drew Carlson's an adventure photographer, and he does like cars and car racing photography, and he does like big ads.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah.
He's a really cool guy, and he's really he did. When I ended up living with him and his wife as like when I popped back into, I was living in Vietnam for years. I popped back into the States to do some engineering work, and Drew had my van for all these years. So it was like, oh, can I just like pay for like the bedroom at your house. So that became this like really interesting relationship. And I learned from living with Drew and hanging out with him and his wife Cindy, lovely couple, they're amazing, that Drew does adventure photography for bird watching. And so they do these huge bus tours where he's the bus driver, but he also teaches photography. And they go to all these spots at sunrises and sunsets and make amazing opportunities for people to do adventure photography. And it's been really interesting to see him run that as a business. And just I would like to connect you to, because he actually helped us with the key interview. All the lighting gear is his, and also the second camera I bought from him. So like Drew's like a part of the film. He's in the credits in the Business Underground thing, but he's also an adventure photographer. And I think the fact that you're talking about not just like driving a bus to a beautiful spot, you're like, let's get in a helicopter and live in the wild with in the Yukon territory with grizzly bears. Is a very different type of adventure photography package. It's very Canadian. Very wild. That's really cool. But I'd love to connect you guys.
That's what we got up here is snow and mountains. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love that. Thank you.
So is it when it comes to like the business side of it sounds like you work with an award-winning photographer, but that there's more than just him. It's like here's a collective of independent photographers. Does that sound right? Or are you
it's actually primarily it's primarily Evan and us like within the studio, but they're like depending on the job. Sometimes like we do have a network of people that if we need like second shooters or third shooters or assistants and stuff like that, then there's definitely a network of people that we pull on.
Okay,
for sure.
And for the adventure thing, is that going to be each country is going to be run by a different person, or do you like go as a team?
No, we'll be going as a team. So it'll Evan will be the lead, and then I'll be there to support Sherpa packs for people if they want stuff like that.
Photographer and Sherpa in one.
Yeah.
Scott Ariza.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can do it all.
That's so exciting and fun.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. I want that job.
Yeah.
Hire me.
Oh yeah. Hey, come on a tour.
we'll do the documentary of the adventure tours. Regardless of what happens, it'll be, what do they call that? It's like verite, cinema verite. Where you don't care what the results are. You just capture whatever happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I can't feed you, client. You're just going to have to starve to death. I'm making a movie over here.
Yeah.
You're going to have to hunt for rabbits in the wild.
No,
that's fun. All jokes aside, what's the name of the adventure tours? I want to connect you with one more person in Alaska. Gomad Nomad. Stephen Bugno. He does adventure tours all over the world with him and his Korean wife. Juno, Runaway Juno. They've done adventure tours and also not so adventurous, but like cool travel tours with resorts and like hotels and stuff as well. In many countries. Yeah. So like they would be a great connection because they're actually right there, only the next country over from Alaska.
Yeah, totally.
Very big piece of the big planet up there, but they're in the neighborhood.
Yes, yeah.
Shout out.
And I learned actually when we were up there, we recently completed not a highway, but they fully paved the road up to Tuktoyaktuk, which is one of the northernmost cities in the Yukon Arctic kind of area there.
Wow, we got road paving news live on Witness Underground.
Yeah.
big news in the Yukon.
Very exciting, yeah. Breaking story.
But that's probably going to the Arctic Circle, kind of like you're up there, or the Arctic Ocean.
Yes, yeah. It's like I think it's one of I don't think it's the most northern city, but it's one of the most for sure.
Very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Then you'll probably end up in some adventure film fests, and there are a few really good ones. And there's one in Banff that's like tours. Banff Adventure Film Fest is amazing.
I think we didn't submit for because they focus on video, but Evan actually submitted an exhibit for that festival, if I remember correctly. So his work was on display there. Yeah.
At Banff at the festival itself.
Yes, yeah, I think they had they had like an exhibition of photographers in that. So yeah, I don't know if there were any awards presented for the photography side, but his work was on display and featured there. It was really cool.
It's really exciting. There's also I saw Banff in Denver, Colorado, because they tour Banff around the world after premieres. And it's like maybe not all the films, but a lot of them, and they get the director. Some directors or people involved to come out and represent their films. But yeah, very cool project. Some of the best adventure films ever. I think I might have seen Miru because of that. But
okay, nice.
I don't know if you saw that. You know that one? It's like
7 years. Yeah.
But yeah. There's also one where some guy tried to he's like, I'm gonna ride a bike from like Washington State to the Arctic Circle, and it's like he's like pushing a bike through the snow in the Arctic Circle. Like, this is terrible. But yeah, no, it's so interesting. There was also Boulder Adventure Film Fest for a long time, and there's a Peruvian man who ran it. Was like the director of it. Super cool guy. Whenever we hung out, we always had the best time talking. I think they closed that one. Because like film festivals are a lot of work to run. But
it's true.
Yeah. if you're making content and capturing, like, ripe for getting some good footage to do at least a short at an adventure film fest. Getting it at Banff would be huge.
Definitely. Yeah. We do. I get a lot of. I've been doing primarily like behind the scenes stuff when we're on trips like that. So yeah, I do want to put that together into something for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah,
that's great content. If you want to ever review it, I'd be happy to take a look behind the scenes. And
awesome. I'll gladly take you up on that.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, one more time, your company where you want to send people for the tours.
Oh, yes, is Sharko Studios. My comment has failed to post to Witness Underground. Let's try again. Oh, maybe it's because it's a link. Maybe it doesn't like the link. Let's try the name of the...
someone's enjoying our interview. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, SDR.
Yeah, thank you.
Sharko Studios. There it is, everybody.
Sharko
it's in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll also put it in the description once we close the interview. And I think this is a good time for that. So we have super exciting news. Everybody check out witnessunderground.com for the Kickstarter. We have 3 days to go. So we're in the last days, everybody. It's my religious joke of the week. We're in the last days of the Kickstarter. And it's all over after this. But thank you so much, everybody, for paying attention and for checking out Scott Ariza's work. And that was a really fun conversation, Scott. I really appreciate all of your help on the campaign. Good luck with everything. Stay in touch. And shout out to Filmocracy for connecting us. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, Scott.
Bye, everyone. See you. Thank you. You too.